Welcome to Content with Character, the weekly podcast that'll give you the momentum you need to create content with more ease, clarity, and laughter. I'm your host, content copywriter Emily Aborn, and I'm all about unconventional marketing approaches. I believe in your big ideas, and I'm excited to help you share them in a way that's distinctly you. Have you ever had a moment in your business or in your life when the dam finally broke? The pressure gave way, became too much, and you woke up literally or proverbially knowing something needed to change. Something's got to give. You needed a regroup. It's happened to me with big life stuff and what I'll call like macro level stuff. So switching colleges and concentrations, moving time and time again because something had to give often in my 20s, ending relationships and friendships when it was apparent it wasn't going to get any better, changing careers, closing businesses, shifting directions. The list goes on. Something had to give. And in order to figure out what that was, I needed a regroup. It's also happened on micro levels, the decision to grow my hair long once and for all. Never again shall I cut it short. Finally implementing that email sequence for the opt-in you created, 2 years ago. No longer offering that service that you despise offering, yet keep saying yes to anyway. Throwing out that one pair of jeans with holes in them or the safety pin stuck, keeping them on you. No longer going to places or events because it finally has stuck in your head that it is not a place you feel good. Any number of little micro wake-up calls that turn you from the path that you're on to a new one. In the words of Sam Harris, no matter how many times you do something, there will come a time when you do it for the last time. And, of course, there's also the first time. We don't always know when those first and last times are going to be or how they'll occur or what it will take for that to happen. There's a last time you're going to see a loved one or hear your child pronounce a certain word wrong or the last time that your kiddo is small enough to sit on your lap. So often we don't know when that's going to be or the impetus to make it so. Some of them just fade until one day they're no longer there. And sometimes you draw a line in the sand and it ends abruptly. For me, more often than not, the apparent ones, the things that end very abruptly or start very quickly, they are typically catalyzed by a good old-fashioned regroup, an honest sit down with myself, reviewing, reflecting, evaluating, discerning the path forward. And it's when we fail to ever make time to regroup, to reflect, that we end up in businesses with websites that, reflect the us of 10 years ago, but not where we are today. And definitely not the where we're going from here. It ends up being that we are doing things that we no longer want to be doing. And we've been doing that for a long time. We end up lacking clarity. We end up relying on old tools or strategies or tactics that don't work anymore because they're outdated or old or stale. We become overwhelmed and scattered and all over the place and unclear in our direction. And something has to give. Then you have to take a moment, determine what that is. And that, my friend, is exactly what we're talking about today. So before we get into it all, I did promise you that April was a month of lightness and fun, and I'll make sure that I pepper that in as I deliver you with like a topic that might not seem lighthearted to some of you. I personally am a huge fan of regrouping, reflecting, re-envisioning, but I know that's not everyone's cup of tea. And for some people, it just feels oppressive, scary, dark, negative. But it's important to remember that all of these things lead to growth. They lead to change. They lead you to moving towards something that is better. So yes, sometimes it can feel like ripping off a Band-Aid that you've had stuck on for like literally years, but more often than not, the other side is truly greener pastures. Also, if you don't know me, let's just say maybe this is your first time here or listening. Maybe you never listened to me introduce myself, or you just like to hear me repeat myself. Either way, I'm Emily Aborn. I'm a small business copywriter and marketing consultant, and I get to meet lots of business owners who are actually in the process of regrouping because they're ready to kind of like take their business to the next level. So I step in, I write the copy and the messaging and everything that they need to take their brands to new paths, bring in new clients, new types of clients, and really reach some of those new hearts, minds, ears with a message. So if you want to see how that looks and whether or not I could help you in that way, you can always find and connect with me at emilyaborn.com or any link in the show notes, and you'll find me. Okay, no more adoing, no more further adoing. Let's get into it. So first off, I want to talk about why and when to regroup. So, when you're about to get sick with like a cold or a flu, there are usually some signs, some symptoms, some indicators. And when it's time for a step back and a regroup in your business, there are also some symptoms and signs and indicators. So here are a couple I came up with that might let you know you need a little pause and it might be time for a regroup. So number one, you feel overwhelmed, tired, burned out. Number two, you're stuck. You're unsure of where to go next. You lack clarity. Number three, you consistently avoid doing lots of tasks around your business. Maybe you even avoid working itself. Number three, you dread working with or interacting with certain clients. Number four, any of your approaches are not working. It could be your process, your strategy, your content, your productivity, etc., etc. And the list goes on and on. For me, I know that something is off and it's about time for a regroup and I have no energy for what I'm doing. Like I would rather just be doing anything else, including folding every single article of clothing in my house, all the laundry. That's how I know I need to pause and ask myself, like, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? Who am I doing it for? And check in to see if I'm headed in the right direction I want to be, or if something needs to change. Sometimes it's just a bad week, or I have a particularly challenging client, which between you and me happened recently, and I thought my business was imploding for a solid 2 weeks. Sometimes, though, it is an actual indication that something needs to change, something has got to give, and I need to figure out what that is. So a recent regroup of mine, it was really simple. It was just around social media, and I needed a change because it was getting kind of boring and tiring and stale doing things the way that I was doing them, and it also wasn't quote unquote working. So I was considering changing that up, and I needed to kind of regroup and figure out what that looked like. I was also considering investing in something for my business, and I needed to decide, was this really going to be worth the financial and time commitment? Is this really the direction that I want to be going? Is this what I really, really want to focus on in my business? So those are some things, like it could be big or small. And you may benefit from, I like to do this, you may benefit from like building in times to reflect and regroup. So that way it doesn't get to that moment of spontaneous implosion or spontaneous combustion. So that might look for you like quarterly or yearly planning sessions that you have in your calendar, times that you're like touching your business regularly, not just working in your business, but actually like reflecting on your business. That can be a big, big game changer. You might like it when you are approaching a certain transition point, right? You're considering adding new offerings, or something is changing in your personal life, or you're about to invest in something. It's a really great time to reflect on the picture, the big picture, and all those little like details therein. And another one is like if you are considering a big business change, like a rebrand or a huge new project, it might be time to roll out that red carpet of the big questions and consider yours, your values, what matters to you, your purpose, your legacy, all the existential stuff that you might need to hash out. So I would not just save this kind of mentality for New Year's or when the seasons change or quarterly. Like it can be done anytime you need to. And some of the things I've used like a regroup for are if I do need to check in and reestablish and get reconnected to my vision, my values, my goals, the direction I'm going. Give myself space, maybe like a concentrated designated space for problem solving or creating or innovation or being more intentional in a direction that I'm going. You want to keep doing this because you want to ensure that your business is growing with you, not away from you. And as you do start considering new paths or opportunities or approaches or ideas, or you're about to make a major decision, it really, really can help you to stop and regroup. I also love it if you're considering like closing something down or stopping to offer something or starting to offer something. Regrouping is really like a way of like, don't keep hitting your head against the wall, and really take some time to decide whether or not you're going to let this thing go, walk away from it, run away from it, whatever you need to. So the risks of not giving yourself this time, I think, outweigh the time that you actually need to take to do it. You can end up in places that you never meant to go, with a business that you never intended to build, and living a life that you didn't actually even design. That does not sound fun to me at all. And it probably doesn't sound fun to you either. So here's how to do it. I will give you some ideas on like how you can actually think about regrouping if your business is or life is calling for it right now. So number one, like give yourself some actual intentional space. Put it in your calendar. Schedule time that you're going to spend reflecting or journaling or actively working on things that you might need to research or consider, or talking to a friend or talking to an outside perspective. Like you want to actually have time for this decision that you're trying to make or what problem you're trying to solve. Maybe this means you get an Airbnb or you go to a co-working space for a day or you work at a coffee shop, or maybe you stay at home and get rid of all the distractions and make yourself like some special treat as a reward. But approach it with like an attitude of like curiosity and kind of like, ooh, I'm excited to see what is going to come out on the other side. Like, don't take this with a judgment or like a should or a have to kind of weight to it. And then ask yourself some key questions like, what is really working here? What is maybe not working here? What feels fun and exciting and light? What is feeling really, really heavy? And then what is one step that I can take today towards getting clarity on that? So once you have some options, keep in mind that like you don't have to move forward alone. You can also ask for help and get help with things that drain you or that you need to get done to move forward. You can bring in trusted advisors, keyword trusted, to give you perspective and feedback. And I would caution you, like, don't spend too much time gathering opinions from anyone and everyone when you're in this time of regrouping, because you can often end up more overwhelmed and worse off than when you started and more confused. But do bring in a knowledgeable, trusted partner, coach, consultant, strategist, professional, that kind of thing. It can be really, really invaluable in helping you when you have already kind of identified, this is where I want to go. What do you think about this? And then from there, you can scrap it, keep it, change it, repurpose it, refresh it. There are so many options depending on what you're reviewing and what you're trying to make that decision on. Which brings me to just giving you an idea of the areas in your business that I would invite you to do regular check-ins. Like give them their little annual physical. You know what I mean? Doesn't have to be annual, could be quarterly. I'm pretty proactive. I do these monthly in a lot of things. And honestly, if my insurance allowed it, I'd be probably like that with my doctor too, giving physicals. So the first area of business is financial, and that's really just where you're like looking at your income streams, making sure everything is sustainable, it's aligned with where you want to go. I like to be pretty thorough in this, and I'll check like average project rates and compare them to time that I'm putting in, making sure that my pricing is aligned with where I need it to be so I can keep on giving accurate proposals to people based on my time estimates, right? I also will look at my expenses. So like what's necessary, what's just draining resources, and I'll get into this down the road with tech too, but I look over my subscriptions regularly because I don't want to be charged for things that I no longer need or use, or things that are not giving me a good ROI. So then I also like to do a little like financial goal setting during this time. Like what benchmarks do I want to hit? Again, I do this monthly and I track every single month. So I know based on like, let's say last year, whether or not I'm setting realistic goals. And if I'm not hitting these goals on a regular basis, what else do I need to be considering? Maybe it had to do with one of those topics I just mentioned. What else do I need to be considering that I might be missing? The second area that's probably in need of a regroup is marketing. This might be your business like look on as a whole, like the branding, the name, the direction, the messaging, that kind of thing. It might be a little bit something, a leg of your marketing. Like let's say you have a podcast. So then you might look at, okay, well, is the name, direction, branding there still in line? It might be your website. Does it reflect your current business? Are you getting the right kind of clients? When was the last time you updated it? Is it outdated? Your website is a living, breathing entity, and it should be growing and evolving alongside your business. It is, if it's reflecting the you of 10 years ago, it might be time to give it a little refresh. The other element of your marketing is like your social media. So are your bios and images and messaging clear, cohesive, and do they show where you are right now? I recently did this and I decided to, as I mentioned, totally change up what I was doing with my social media. I started, because of regrouping and like figuring out what I really wanted to be doing, I started posting more about my business. I did commit to like a consistent schedule rather than just willy-nilly like I was doing before. And I started kind of trying some new experiments and having a little bit more fun while I did. So I just like basically focused on creating more of what I like to consume from other people, and I'll report back and let you know how it goes. Another place that I find it's related to marketing is like the networking groups that you're part of and the events and the commitments, like making sure those things are still valuable to you because you cannot be everywhere. So asking yourself, do I need to explore new opportunities? Is this still for me? Do I need to cut back? That kind of thing. And then really asking like another place, oh my gosh, I let this one slide a lot. Like, are you actively asking for reviews and testimonials? Are you sharing those? Are you connecting with the people in your community and your clients? So those are just kind of all the marketing things that might need they might need a set of eyes on them to make sure that everything is headed in the right direction. Number 3 is your tech. So this is like an audit basically of your tools and systems, like making sure you're not paying for software that you don't use, making sure your platforms are efficient and user-friendly for your clients. I recently walked through like the backside of my client process just to make sure like my portal is looking good from their perspective and that it's user-friendly and things like that. Sometimes this means adding an automation or an integration to like simplify the process for you or your clients, just making sure that your tech is where you want to go, right? Like, does your email provider work for your burgeoning, I hope, growing list? And then the last one I would invite you to consider is client work. And that's just like reflecting on the kind of clients that you are working with, making sure that they are energizing you, not draining you, in line with your kind of like ideal client profile or the types of people that you want to be working with personality-wise and project-wise, considering the services you're offering. Are they still enjoyable for you to deliver? Do they match up to your expertise and also your skills and also what you're learning now, what you have learned? It's a lot. I know. So I gave you only 4 areas and I know that that's a lot. But as I said, these kind of regular regroups, these check-ins, they prevent you from future time, money, headaches, spontaneous implosions, forced pivots, that kind of thing, and also so much more. So I'm going to give you one really simple action because I know I kind of gave you a lot of ideas here. So your micro action for the week to move forward, if your business could use a little regroup, is number 1, please start small. So pick just one of these 4 areas to focus on. Maybe it is just, I'm going to update my website bio or my bios, let's say, or look at my expenses. And also, I'm going to have extended show notes for this episode. So all of these will be listed out. You just go to the show notes. There's a little finger that points to extended show notes, and you could actually kind of work through this list, let's say like week by week if you wanted to. But yeah, start small because I want you to be taking incremental steps. It will help to keep you from being overwhelmed because this is a lot. You probably can't do it all in one day. Well, at least I know I can't. So your micro step is simply to establish a regroup routine for yourself. Like put in a regular reflection session. Put it into your business calendar, or your monthly calendar, or your quarterly check-ins, whatever it is. But the more you regroup, the less major overhaul you will have to do at any one given time. So put these things into your calendar. That's it. That's your micro action step. And then obviously be accountable to yourself and hold yourself to it. This is your time. This is exciting. It's important to keep that big picture of not just your business, but also your life in mind. And I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I think it was last month, but your business and you are really pals, like you're friends. So it should support you and vice versa. And it evolves and grows with you. And this regrouping really does help you to stay connected to that. It helps you stay on track with your goals and your growth. And it gives you that like intentional path forward rather than just letting things happen as they happen, right? So regrouping is not about making anything in your life or business perfect. There is no such thing, but it is about it. And it is about moving more towards growth and clarity and like just that ease in your everyday. And I promise that taking these small steps on a regular basis really does lead to those things. I speak from personal experience. So on that note, I will chat with you next week, and we're going to mix the business and the personal. We're going to talk about actually mixing business and friendship. Should you or should you not befriend your clients? And should you have friends as your clients? So we'll get into that next week, and I will chat with you then. Happy regrouping! Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Content with Character. If you loved the episode, please make sure to subscribe to the podcast, rate, review, and share it with someone else you know it could help. For more content and visibility tips, visit my blog at emilyaborn.com and be sure to connect with me on Instagram at emilyaborn. I'd love to hear how this inspired you to take action.